Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. It's been a while since I did my last review, so I do apologize. I'm still kind of getting used to my new job, but really keen to get back into toy reviewing. So without further ado, here is the review for today. So looking at the articulated icons, the Feudal series, and this guy is the Solitaire Modern Ninja. I was only able to get this guy from the Kickstarter campaign because I was a little bit tight on funds, but I'm really glad that he's finally arrived. Having a look at the packaging first, on the side you've got a nice shot of Solitaire there, and on the back all the other figures you can get in the series, and they all look really good, but unfortunately I couldn't get them all. And here's a bit of a bio about Solitaire, so if you want to read, just pause there. And big window in the front, articulated icons up the top, and some information at the bottom. So let's get this guy open. And with the backing card and the packaging, it's a nice dojo style door in the back there, so that's quite nice. And here is the figure in the tray. And his accessories are actually stored in a little bag, so I'll get that open in a sec. And the figure itself is held in by twisty ties and some elastic bands at the back. And here are all the accessories that he comes with. So all the accessories are actually stored in this bag, which I have had to kind of cut away the tape to get at the accessories. And he comes with 2 pairs of goggles. So these are nice and soft, and one is red and one has green lenses, and they fit over his head pretty nicely, which I'll show you in a second. And he comes with a little handgun and a silencer for the handgun that simply plugs in to the barrel, and that looks pretty cool. And he also comes with a pair of katanas that's stored in the sheaths here, and the swords aren't actually painted, they're just straight black, so there's not really much paint detail on there. Well, actually there is no paint detail on there, but the sculpting looks pretty decent. It does feel a little bit loose in there though, like they could just fall out, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And with the goggles, they slip over his head pretty easily, and it fits in there quite nicely. And you can also just have one on his neck and the other one on his head if you like, if you don't want to store them away, but you know, that's probably a little bit over the top. Anyway, with his swords, he can either store them in the back here, so it just pegs into the back. It is a little bit tricky to get into the back peg, like so, or you can turn it a little bit more horizontally, or you can have it stored on the belt area, which is actually quite a nice look, and I think that this is my preference. He looks more like a modern ninja this way. And with his handgun, you can store it on the holster on the side with the silencer still attached, so that's quite nice. Everything has a place on Solitaire. And now for a closer look at the figure. I really love the head sculpt and the paint application of the eyes. He's got like this glowing orange eye, which looks very menacing. And the sculpt for his body is quite nice as well, nice and lean and muscular. And he's dry brushed basically throughout the whole body, which looks a little bit on the dirty side. It's not very consistent, so you can see on the back here you've got really heavy dry brushing, whereas on the arms sometimes there's not so much. So I kind of wish that this was kept just black, so you can see some more inconsistencies here. On the top there's not so much dry brushing, but on the sides there's quite a bit there. And his belt, belt is nice and soft, but it does look a little bit on the thin side, and it might kind of break if I accidentally catch this on something. His utility belt looks pretty cool. It's again nice and soft. Good sculpting on the pants. Nice creases in the fabric there. And nice sculpting on the boots. And with these figures, I have heard a lot of people with joint issues. I've just taken this out of the box and I haven't actually posed him, but as far as I can tell, on my one, his diaphragm joint is quite loose. His waist is not stuck, so that's good. His shoulders seems to be okay, although I don't really want to force anything here. On this side, his arms move freely up and down. On this side, yep, it's a little bit tighter, but it still moves. And everything is good, except I have noticed that the hips are kind of stuck. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of heating to get those two joints unstuck. But luckily for me, that's the only two areas so far that I think might have problems. Okay, so I've heated up the hips and now they are nice and free, which is good. But I have read somewhere that if your waists are stuck, don't use the heating technique because you will just end up snapping that joint in there. Instead, put it in the freezer and let it kind of freeze and then crack it that way. But with the rest of the joints, I think the heating method is okay. So let's get on to the articulation. With his head, he can look up that far and down to there. And he can look all the way around, and no tilting as such. Tiny little bit, but I wouldn't really count that. With his shoulders, he can lift up. Oh god, I nearly had a heart attack. He can lift up that far. Okay, this thing just detached. And then down to there, all the way around, of course. Bicep swivel. And double jointed elbows, which gives him a really good bend there. He's got wrist rotation and in and out. So this is a little bit different to Marvel Legends. It's more like an import joint where there is a hinge and also a ball at the end. So it gives him a pretty good range in the wrist. He's got diaphragm joint, which gives him rotation all the way around, and also maybe not so much. Oh yep, he's got ab crunch forward that far and back that far, but you do get a gap if you stretch it all the way back. And waist rotation all the way around. Hips can do perfect splits, and then he can kick forward that far and back to about there. He's got thigh swivel at the top here, double jointed knees, very good bend, and he's got rotation at the top of the boots. He's got ankle tilting down to there and up to there, and then he's got massive ankle pivots. So pretty much everything you would expect from a Marvel Legends action figure, except he's got slightly better wrist joints, and also I think a little bit better in terms of the ab crunch here. And in terms of height, he measures about 154 millimeters, which is about 6.06 inches. And now for some size comparisons. First up, here he is with Mafex Batman version 2.0. Here he is with SH Figure Arts Batman, Mezco 112 Collective Punisher, DC Icons Superman, and finally Marvel Legends Cyclops. I think overall Solitaire is a very nice looking action figure. I love the idea of a modern ninja. I think he looks really nice. I love the accessories that he comes with, the silenced pistol and also the two katanas in the back here. There are a couple of things that I don't like about this guy. I'm not a big fan of this dry brushing that's happening all over the figure. For one, it's not very well done. It's a little bit on the messy side and kind of inconsistent. And some of his accessories, like the belt here up on his chest, they look a little bit on the thin and cheap side, to be honest. And also the fact that I have to be very careful with the joints because I don't know if they will break or not, is a little bit of a disappointment. Luckily for me, everything's kind of stayed intact, so that's a positive, I guess. And that pretty much sums up my review. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time for another toy review.